Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Western Alliance Era 3 Premium Light Tank, the TCM AGS. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the TCM AGS, it is a light tank that is, well, it's basically a tank destroyer, to be perfectly honest. And it's a tank that in Era 3 has never really been that good. And that's because, well, it's got a good top speed, it's a little bit sluggish to get there, it doesn't turn very quickly. The gun handling on it's alright, but it takes a wee bit to get aimed in, as you can see here. But the actual reload of the clip is quite long, although the intraclip reload at 3.5 seconds is pretty long for an intraclip reload. You do put out a lot of damage out of that clip, but in general, in Era 3, it just doesn't stand up that well, because it also struggles with very bad penetration, which means that, as you can see, I run full gold, because that's the only way to make the penetration even somewhat slightly bearable, and even then, it's still not very good. But the tank did get buffed at Christmas. They buffed the shot dispersion during movement and rotation, which means the aim circle doesn't bloom out quite as badly as it once did, which it used to quite badly. The hit points went up to 3,000, the view range up to 600, the reload went from 36 seconds down to 34, aim time from 2.1 to 1.9, and they boosted the signal range, whatevers. So the aim time did get better, so the general gun handling felt a little bit nicer, because that was one thing that always felt lackluster. The gun handling generally for this vehicle, for an Era 3 tank, just felt meh. Most tanks in Era 3 are superb, and this gun is now a lot better to use, but still, every other gun in Era 3, for the most part, is ridiculous. So this gun still doesn't really stand up that well to that. Your reload is still very, very long for the clip. Your inch-clip reload, 3.5 seconds for the amount you have in the clip, is okay, but it still doesn't feel like it puts out damage that quickly, especially when quite a few other tanks are hitting for harder than you and reload only 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds faster. And then don't have a downtime like you do, which is always just a sad, sad time for the TCM AGS. And on the whole, it's just not a very good tank, really. And that goes for most light tanks in Era 3 that are like the TCM AGS, where they don't have a multi-weapon system or some ATGMs to go along with it to have some sort of stopping power. This vehicle really does struggle, because as soon as the MBTs say, haha, it is time to die, well, screw your life, you're dead. So the tank goes at 79.64 kilometers an hour with the build that I run, 19.47 kilometers an hour reverse speed, so like I say, the top speed and the reverse speed is pretty good. It's got a 500 horsepower engine, which is 23.92 horsepower per ton ratio, which means it does get there, but it's just a little bit sluggish getting up to it. You've got a 42.87 degree a second hull rotation speed with a 47.98 degree a second turret rotation speed, which means the turret does turn fairly quickly, but the hull turns a little bit slower than the turret, and to be honest, the tank feels like it traverses very slowly at times, which can be a little bit frustrating. You've got 162 meters of still concealment, same as on the move concealment, because you are a light tank, which can be quite nice for the vehicle. It means it's quite hard to spot you if you are firing away at distance, and this vehicle really does want to be at distance. It does not want to be up close and personal. With 625 meters of view range, means you can spot for yourself pretty well in the TCM AGS. 0.44 accuracy during rotation is fantastic, with 1.68 accuracy during movement. That's not so good for an Era 3 tank, when a lot of Era 3 tanks are a lot better than that. 1.82 second aim time as well is also pretty good. With 10 degrees of gun depression means you are very, very flexible on a ridgeline in this vehicle. 421 penetration on the standard APF SDS is terrible, with 494 penetration on the premium APF SDS, which again is not that great for an Era 3. Means you really struggle to pen quite a few vehicles with that. 480 average alpha damage as well is also a little bit lower for the Era, which just hampers you compared to quite a few others that you'll be facing as well. 1,508 meters a second shell velocity, though, on the APF SDS is pretty nice, and with this tank you do have that 9-shot auto loader with a 3.5 second intra-clip reload. Now, it does have 150% silver bonus as well, which means you actually don't make quite as good a silver as some of the other Era 3 premiums as well, and especially since you basically have to fire premium to feel okay with your penetration, it's just a little bit of a letdown. That's just the way that the Teledyne Continental Motors AGS feels in general. It just feels a little bit of a letdown. And that first game that you've seen there with the 5.2k damage, 392 base XP on a loss, was just a very typical game for the TCM AGS there, where you just sort of try and find shots at range. Their team manages to pummel their way through your team, and then you sit there going, well, there was not much else I could have done, because I was trying to, but I just struggled to pen things, and there's no other way I could have played that to have tried to have a bit better impact, because we were trying to find the shots at people that were sniping. We found the people like the TCM AGS on the opposite team but we just struggled to get anything else done. And the moment the Barbarian Horde approached, well, the Barbarian Horde came for us, and our death was swift. It didn't matter that we had 3,000 hit points. Yeah. Realistically, the things that didn't get addressed when they buffed this vehicle was stuff like the penetration, which was atrocious on this vehicle, and is one of the big key factors of letdown for this tank. And having that low penetration just sucks. If you try and use the standard rounds, you really do bounce so many shots. And there's so many shots that you sit there that if you were playing any other Era 3, you sit there and fire at a tank out of muscle memory and go, I should pen that, and you bounce and you go, oh, right. And because it is a 105mm gun, you don't even have the luxury of something like the MBT-70, for example, which has overmatches on quite a few different plates in Era 3, which has low penetration as well, but because you overmatch things, you actually go through anyway. So what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment on this vehicle? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, 6th Sense, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise, the Muffled Shot, the Clutch Braking, Camouflage Net, the Traction System, and the Gun Stabilizer. Gun Stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as humanly possible, because while it is at a pretty good level, it's nowhere near the level of most of the other tanks in the era. The Traction System to get that 79 kilometers an hour top speed, so that we can at least have some good speed in a straight line, even if we are a bit sluggish up to it. The Camouflage Net to get the 162 meters of steel concealment, mixed in with the Camouflage Expertise and Muffled Shot as well, to get that down as low as possible and to reduce the effect of firing on our camo. With the Clutch Braking to make the track traverse better alongside the Traction System, because it does turn very slowly if you don't help it. All 3 gun perks to try and make this gun as good as possible, because realistically this tank is all about if this gun can start singing, and it can be a bit of a pain to be able to get it singing if it's not as snapshotty as humanly possible. If you find people like this Desert Warrior, that's where it's perfect, where you can track people, because the moment you get them tracked, and especially if you're in a position like we were in the last map, where you can go hull down and only expose your gun, and you've got someone tracked, you can do a lot of damage very, very quickly to those people, because this tank is one of those that the turret is the gun module. So if you expose only the only the gun, and they shoot your gun, all they can do is damage the gun. They can't actually pen it. But yeah, the TCM AGS, it's just one of those tanks. It sits... The problem is with it, right, is it sits in Era 3, which has its own issues, where it's either MBTs rule the roost and go running after things, so MBT goes against this thing and runs after it, it just murders the TCM AGS, and there's not much the TCM AGS can do to fight back against it, other than track it and hope for the best. But the other problem is, light tanks. The other light tanks in the era also absolutely trash you, because they all have autocannons that fire way faster than you, dish out damage way quicker than you, and then they have ATGMs on top of that. And because they also move faster than you, you just can't get away from them, which means they absolutely machine gun you, and it's a real pain. Which is really a problem for not just the TCM AGS, but stuff like the VFM5 and the M8 AGS as well, right? Where they filled this awkward middle ground where they just can't fulfill their role in 60-70% of games, and they just feel really awkward to play. Whereas if you were playing any other MBT or any other light tank in what you were trying to do with them, you would just be doing far, 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 far better. But there we go. This second game, we are on this map, which is Thiepval Ridge, and we've got ourselves in the perfect place where the TCM AGS wants to be. And that is farming up while not being the focus of everybody's attention. We've got nice, easy shots into people's sides who are kindly just driving straight out for us to be able to shoot, which is lovely of them. Looking for a shot to be able to pen the Asario, but the light tank just went, "Get down, Mr. President," and just took the shot and said, "Yeah, okay, I'm just going to take the shot for my guy." You know, it's what we do. It's teamwork. And he made it, he made it work. Teamwork makes the dream work, and he saved his Asario from a shot from me. But I'll take it, because it's a free penetration. And we finished the game there with the 7,024 damage, 3.6k assistance, because we got a bit of assistance there for spotting and also tracking, which is about, what, 10k combined, 10.5k combined. The first class for 1427 base XP. Now, the thing for TCM AGS is that, yeah, I did, what, 10k combined there, 10.5k combined, but 7,000 raw damage is where you're looking at for this vehicle, is going, that's a fantastic game, right? A lot of other tanks in Era 3 are looking at 10 to 12k as a fantastic game, and then pushing it maybe to 15, 16, 17, 18, right, as an absolutely incredible game. Averagely, they're probably doing 6 to 7,000 damage in an okay normal game. So it's just, yeah, it's one of those things. I just find this tank exceptionally annoying to play just for stuff like that, where you feel like I've put in so much hard work, but the hard work is actually really not much at all, because the hard work was trying to get the tank to actually do with what it had. So we're on this third game, and this third game we're here on this map, which is Redshire. Yeah, we got there in the end, Redshire. We went for the shot into the BMP3, but sadly the shot went low and didn't pen it. We've got a Challenger 1 directly in front of us, which we can pen with what we've got. There's a Challenger 1 also coming out of the town, so we're going to see if we can get into position to shoot that cross, because if anyone crosses that gap, we should have easy shots. So we're just going to back up so that I can try and get over the hump. There's a little hump you can get over, which I should be able to only really expose my gun, and that'll make it better for me to get the shots. That Type 83M looked like he was coming this way, and there we go. If we can get the tracking shot, glorious. He does get tracked, and this is where this tank can go to absolute town, because once you've got someone tracked, you can keep them perma-tracked, and that's where your damage can keep farming, essentially. We're up to 2,030 damage. Lucky, really, the light tank didn't come over and get us in the Bradley. Challenger 1's up on the ridgeline, so we're going to put the shot through the lower plate of the Challenger 1. He does end up penning us as well. I try and get a shot through the little driver hatch on the front. Never really going to pen, if I'm honest. I don't know why I took that shot, but there we go. We go straight for the full reload, because we may as well. There's no point holding on to however many 3 or 4 shells. It's really the only bad point about the UI for a tank like the TCM AGS that has more than 4, 5, 6 shots, is that once we get to this bar that's on our screen right here, we actually don't know how many actual shells we have left in the clip, unless we're counting, because it doesn't tell us in actual numbers or show us in an actual visual indicator of shells. It just has that bar where we're sitting there going, I'm not quite sure. But there we go. We're up to 2.7k damage with 439 assistance. Got a couple of shots into the Charlie 1 down below. I'm now going to just go after this Charlie 1 here. Lock on RBRT and just go running round him like a light tank with an autoloader really hopes to do. Now this tank doesn't get to do this very often because it doesn't have a very good turning circle whatsoever. So as you can see, the turning circle that I had actually there was very, very large, which meant that our distance was increasing with every single time I was trying to go around him. But he is completely isolated, and so we're just trying to get all of the shots possible into the Charlie 1, and it did end up distracting him to a point where he got screwed over. So we're going for the free aim shot there into the Weasel toe. We get our last shot in the clip into the Weasel, putting us on to 5.6k damage. It would have been lovely to ram that guy, but yeah, we didn't manage to go for that. So we're just waiting on the reload now to see where I want to go next. We can see the guys have taken the corner at J2. There's a light tank down below us. We're in a bit of an awkward position where it's a little bit of crossfire, but we do have the numbers now. It is 10-6, which means that usually in Era 3 terms, as soon as you start getting numbers like 10-6, 10-5, you've already won the game because you just completely outnumber the enemy vehicles. So we're just going to go close the distance. You know what? I'm going to ignore the Asario behind me. I'm going to go after the guys in this corner. We get a shot on the move there, which tracked the Asario, and he gets shut down by the Declare T4. And we know there's 2 tanks in this corner. There's the T80U. We get the shot RBRT into him. It actually tracked him, which was great. Put another shot into the side of that guy. Damages fuel tanks. Now it's a T80U. It does like setting on fire, so if I could set that guy on fire, that would be wonderful. This is the perfect scenario for me as well. I can kind of go hull down over here using my 10 degrees of gun depression and limit how much of my tank people have to shoot. Went for the drive wheel of the MX-40 there to try and track and pen him so that I could keep him pinned, making it easier to get him. But sadly, didn't quite get the shot. We get a shot into the rear of the T80U there, who gets shut down by the Leclerc T4. Now we're going for shots into the AMX-40, but it's a bit awkward, because naturally an AMX-40 has that autocannon, which means going after him is a deadly, deadly experience if he really wants to take all of my hit points away, because it fires very, very quickly. Go for the shot into the lower plate. Sadly, he was getting closer there, so we end up hitting the upper plate, and we're out of ammo, so we're not really going to get the kill unless ramming speed... Aww. Ramming speed denied. That's a sad, sad time. But there we go. Finished with the epic victory. 8.9k damage, 654 assistance, 400k silver. Ace tank of the Confederate, the sniper medal with 1593 base XP. A fantastic game there for the TCM AGS. A tank that, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of. It just doesn't stand up very well in Era 3, personally, for me. And there's far better out there to go pick up as a premium light tank in the era. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.